guys, welcome back to The Bright Side. Macy here, The Bright Side Girl, and today we're going to go over my Randomathon Flowers reading wrap-up. So this was my second round of Randomathon, which is a readathon where we change themes every time we do it. This theme was flowers, and let me tell you, I had the best freaking time. It healed parts of my soul to do this readathon. Between the books and the flower activities, which I have the first reading vlog up for right now, so you can go and check it out, and the second one is coming very soon. I did so much fun flower themed activities. We tried to find flowers while we were hiking and walking. We went to some garden center. We went to some conservation gardens. It was a great time. So I read a total of 9 books, just slightly less than what I wanted to, but I loved them so much. So I am very pleased with how this readathon went. We're going to go in order of least favorite to favorite, although they're all fairly close together. 6 of these were audiobooks, so I'll list the narrators for you while I'm talking as well. And we're just going to dive right in. All right, coming in at 3.5 stars is The Poison Heart from Kaylin Bayron. This was such a fun read. So this is part of a YA duology. I do plan on reading the second books, hopefully sometime soon. And this one features our main character. Her parents run a flower shop and she has flower magic that really can't be explained. She can grow plants super quickly. Plants seem to be drawn to her. She is adopted. She's not really sure about who her birth mother really is. But when her aunt dies, she leaves a dilapidated estate to her and she decides to go and live there and try and fix it up. But this estate is very mysterious. It has a walled garden and a list of instructions that she needs to follow to help put everything back in order. And she kind of uncovers more about her past and her lineage. This one has a lot to do with plants and plant magic, and it has a lot to do with Greek mythology, which I was surprised by and I did enjoy, but at times it felt like it didn't fully fit with the story. So this one was just under a 4-star for me, just because I had a good time with it. I thought it was a fun read. I thought the romance felt a little bit forced and kind of out of nowhere, but other than that, it was a really great time, and I will be reading the second book. Coming in at like a 3.75 is Flower Heart by Catherine Bakewell. This was, again, another fun read. Lots and lots of plant magic. This is set in the Victorian era, which a lot of the books are. I didn't know that some of them were, but a lot of them are. I love the Victorian era, so I was thrilled. Clara has magic and it is wild and uncontrollable. One day when she touches her father, wild poisonous plants will start to bloom out of his chest, and the only way to heal him is to cast this extremely difficult spell that she doesn't know how to do. So she teams up with like her ex-best friend from childhood, who is very skilled in this kind of thing, and he agrees to train her for a price. She's kind of struggling with the boy that she once knew being different than how he used to be, and this terrible price that he's asking her for in exchange for the trading. I thought this was lovely. It was very cute. It had so much to do with plants and flowers and plant magic. I really enjoyed the atmosphere of this book a lot. I was kind of iffy on the romance because Xavier did kind of terrible things somewhat recently that were easily forgiven. Like the stuff in the past I can kind of see, but then he did a couple things that I was kind of like, and he seemed to be easily forgiven. That's why I put it under a 4-star for me, but I really enjoyed the narrator for this one, and I will definitely read more from this author. So good. All right, now we're moving on to the 4 stars. So we have The Wisteria Society of Lady Scoundrel. If you want a book set in the Victorian era with sassy pirate ladies who defy society standards, fight off assassins, all while in a magical flying house and having tea and being classy as heck, this is the book for you. This is such a wild, fun time. So again, we're in the Victorian era. These ladies have like a pirate society. They have assassins trying to kill them. There's treasure hunting involved, flying houses, and it's just such a really fun time. It has a romance in here. It did get a tiny bit spicy at the end, which I wasn't fully expecting, but overall I had such a fun time with it. It was a 4-star. I'll definitely be reading more from India Holton this year, especially. This is the first in a trilogy. I believe they're all standalones, but I think that some of the characters show up in the other books, so I would recommend you reading this one first. And yeah, I had a really great time with it. I read 2 graphic novels. This is the Tea Dragon Society by Katie O'Neill. I finally read this one. I've been meaning to read it for years. I believe there's other books in this series as well. This is a charming graphic novel about tea dragons that grow tea leaves from their heads, and they have this society of people that take care of them and know how to like harvest the tea leaves, and it's about friendship and family and nature, and I've really enjoyed like the atmosphere and the vibes and the magic. Favorite part about this graphic graphic novel. Well, besides the beautiful illustrations. In the back, it lists the different types of dragons and their average length, their average weight, the tea that they brew, and their care notes. So we have like the jasmine tea dragon, the rooibos tea dragon, chamomile tea, ginseng tea, and they all have different little designs. I need like a little stuffed animal of these guys. So it'll say like jasmine tea dragons have a great deal of poise and elegance and are probably the most self-conscious out of all the dragons. They are watchful and intelligent, though this doesn't translate to any extra survival capability. With keen beady eyes, they quickly understand and interpret what their owners are doing during their daily routine, which makes it much easier to interfere and to be a pest. Super adorable. 4 stars. Then I read The Secret Garden, a graphic novel, and this is by Mariah Marsden, illustrated by Hannah Lutchfeld, and I really enjoyed this. You guys, I think The Secret Garden might be my favorite book that I've ever read, because every time I read like a retelling about it or anything involving it, and like just things in my life just kind of point to it might be my favorite book. I would highly recommend you read The Secret Garden first if you haven't. It's such a beautiful classic about a little girl that is orphaned all of a sudden and has to go live with her uncle in this mysterious manor, and there's like whales in the night and a secret garden that she has to figure out to get into, and it's about like friendship and family and strength and believing in yourself. It's amazing. And so this graphic novel was super cute. I really enjoyed the illustrations. I thought it captured the original story really well. So charming. 4 stars. All right, next to the 5 stars, and my first nonfiction that I have read in a very long time is Wicked Plants by Amy Stewart. I love The Drunken Botanist from Amy Stewart that I read several years ago. She has written for like National Geographic. She has a way of writing nonfiction that is so engaging and gives you all the information you need without it feeling like boring or like homework. And this book was so good. This is all about poisonous plants. And so I will warn you that some of this stuff is intense. What I love too is there are illustrations of the plants and little sections. So it will have Jimson weed, and it will tell you the family that it's in, the habitat native to, and then the common names. And then at the back of it, it will tell you the relatives that are related to it, how it's poisonous, how the poison affects the body. And let me tell you, I'm scared of some stuff now. I am a big gardener lady and nature lover, and there were some things in here that I did not know were poisonous. I mean, a lot of plants are poisonous if you eat them, which makes total sense. But there's a plant, like my neighbors have, 2 of my neighbors have this plant called the Angel's Trumpet. I'll put a picture up here. It's absolutely beautiful. And this thing is poisonous as heck. And I had no idea. I was going to get one for my yard because it feels like the perfect house for fairies. So it just feels like fairies live in these little like drooping flowers. But like the plant, like the outside, the flowers are like poisonous. Like if you touch them too much and then like touch your eyes, they can like do things to your eyes. The pollen is poisonous. So if you take like a big whiff, or if the pollen gets shaken, like people's eyes can dilate and they can be kind of like hallucinogenic for a while. Of course it's poisonous to eat too, but it's like really poisonous. So won't be getting one of those, unfortunately. But this has so much cool information and just things that you didn't know. And her writing is so captivating. So I highly recommend it. I started this on audio, but I finished it physically just because I was enjoying the pictures and everything so much. All right. Then The Edge of In Between by Lorelei Severin. I need to get a copy of this one now. This was the first book I read for the readathon. You can see me gush about it over in the reading vlog. This is so good. This is a Secret Garden retelling. I believe it's considered middle grade, but it has the most unique story and atmosphere. So we're in this world where people are all in color. When they experience like a tragedy or a loss or grief, they turn gray and they no longer have magical abilities, no longer have magic in them. Following our main character Lottie, she lives in this beautiful family. She has wonderful magic and she likes to paint. One day her parents are killed and she immediately becomes gray and loses all her magic. She becomes very upset with this and angry and hurt with the world, and she's offered the chance to go and live with her uncle in the in-between, which is like a gray wasteland that is located in between the land of the living and the land of the dead. There she goes to live with her uncle and she discovers some friendship and a locked garden, and it has like the secret garden elements of it, but it has so much magic and beautiful writing. This does deal a lot with like grief and dealing with the effects of grief and loss, and I normally don't love those kinds of books, but this is done in such a beautiful, like hopeful, lovely way, and the friendships in here are great. It did so much homage to the original Secret Garden while completely being its own story and being so beautifully unique. I loved it so much. So it was a solid 5 stars, and I thought it was going to be my favorite read of the readathon. But then I read The Honey Witch by Sydney J. Shields, and this one blew me away. I was kind of worried about it because it has some mixed reviews. I think I've decided that I'm not going to read Goodreads reviews anymore because there's just so many negative people in the world. And I read them after I finished this book, and it kind of tainted like my mind, because then I felt kind of guilty for loving it because some people were like, oh, the writing is bad. And I just let it kind of get to me, and I decided I'm just gonna have my own opinion. And I like reading reviews from my friends and things like on Instagram, but I'm not gonna read them on Goodreads anymore because I don't know, I feel like people get on their high horse sometime. But I thought this was a lovely read. Again, we're set in the Victorian era. We're following Marigold Claude, and her grandmother comes and whisks her away to their family cottage on the tiny Isle of Innisfree. She offers to train her to become the next honey witch for the Isle, but her newfound freedom comes with the price that nobody can fall in love with the honey witch. Their family is like cursed, and she's not allowed to fall in love with anyone. This is fine for Marigold. She is kind of haughty and judgy of people that fall in love and want to have like traditional like marriage and family. She kind of thinks of it as like a waste of time, so that makes her kind of unlikable, and I think that bothered some people. But there's a reason, because she has growth throughout the story and learns things about herself. This has a beautiful female-female romance, all the cottagecore vibes, all the cozy vibes, but also there's some like action and intensity at the end of the book that was very unexpected. There's even like a little battle. So we've got some like fabulous fantasy elements in here, a lot to do with friendship as well, a lot to do with plants and bees and flowers and nature. And for me, it worked perfectly well. I absolutely loved it. It was a solid 5 star. I was like gushing and telling Jeff about it. And the narrator for this one is beyond incredible. She is so lush and beautiful and fabulous. So just know that Marigold's a little bit unlikable in the beginning, and it is like a little bit fast paced with how we get things started, but otherwise, fabulous. Absolutely loved it. I'll be recommending it a ton. So I thought this was going to be my favorite book of the readathon, and then immediately after, which is very shocking, I read The Rose Bargain by Sasha Payton Smith. And then this became my favorite book of the year. And I couldn't believe it because I loved The Honey Witch so much. And usually when you read like a favorite book and then immediately start a new one, it's just not gonna live up. But this one had a slightly similar tone because we're still set in the Victorian era. This one has less to do with plants than the other books other than the title, but there is mention of like a garden and a poison garden in here. This one, you guys, I'm gonna be gushing about it so long. This is like my new Belladonna, Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies like obsession. It's not really like those books, it's just how I was obsessed and kept recommending them. So this one is the first in a YA duology. I don't want to say it leans adult, but it leans older YA than some of the other YA books, if that makes sense. Like this one compared to this Poison Heart, the tones are like totally different. The tones are much more similar to The Honey Witch. So in this one, we're in this world where 400 years ago, this fairy queen came in and basically like presented herself and took over to rule the land. And so every year there is a courting season, and then when the girls are of age, they must present themselves to the queen and ask for a bargain to begin their season. So they can trade like their eyelashes for a beautiful smile, or they can give up their favorite memory to be charming to men. All different kinds of bargains. And so they each go and present themselves to the queen. We're following Lady Ivy, and she is determined to make her bargain with the queen a way to find out what happened to her sister during her sister's season. Her beloved sister Lydia has mysteriously disappeared, and when she reappears, casts Lydia's family into the outcasts of society. But Ivy's season is coming up, arrives with a shocking twist. The queen announces that she will be having a competition to marry off her son, Prince Bram. And this could save Ivy's family from ruin. But every glittering fae deal comes with a price. This is like Bridgerton meets The Selection, meets The Jewel from Amy Ewing, meets Cruel Prince. Like, it is just a combination of all those things, but also completely its own unique story. If you love like a Cruel Prince style fae stories, it has a really good romance. There's a tiny bit of spice, which was unexpected for a YA. Really good like angsty romance, but that's not like the main focus of the book. Like there's a lot of other things going on. You're learning about the fae world, and there's the competition. The girls that are in the competition are bonding with each other. I loved this so much. I gave it 5 stars, and then I did something I never do, and I immediately started it over on audiobook because the narrator, first of all, absolutely incredible. And I feel like I absorbed it really well, but I wanted to make sure I didn't miss any tiny little detail because I was enjoying it so freaking much. So you'll hear me rant about this again in my April wrap up because I'm currently rereading it. I just had such a good time. I had 2 other friends read it that felt the same way. We just had a blast. The vibes of this one are so fun. The competition to win Prince Bram is brutal. Fae magic is great. I cannot wait for the second book. Absolutely loved it. All right, so that is everything that I read for this readathon. It was such a good time. I am going to be doing it again next year, probably around the same time. I'm going to move some stuff around. We're going to change a couple things to make room for it. It's going to get its own official name. The vibes of it being early spring combined with the flower books and just everything about it was so fun, and a lot of people told me it was their now current favorite readathon. So we will be doing this again next year, so save these for recommendations if you haven't read them. I'm really excited to do this again because I had such a good time. So let me know if you participated down below in the comments. Don't forget to check out my hike-a-thon announcement, which is our next readathon happening May 12th through May 26th. This is a nice transition because it is still like nature focused, but kind of that in between spring and summer, and we've got more like camping, survivalist, Girl Scout type vibes, so it's a good little transition into that one as well. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at The Bright Side Girl if you haven't already, and I will see you guys next time on The Bright Side.